Good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. This is iMac Sports with another football video, and today I'm going over my Week 18 NFL predictions. I do this every single week on the channel, and this is the last week of the regular season. So after this, I'll continue doing playoff prediction videos, but my weekly predictions will be playoff predictions. So this is the last regular season prediction video. The other ones will probably be more in-depth analysis because there's going to be less games, but there's still quite a few games this week. So let's get right into it. First off, we have the Saturday games. We have Chiefs versus Broncos, and we have Cowboys versus Eagles. I think that both of these are going to be pretty high-scoring games. Kansas City and Denver both have very strong defenses, but I think that being the last week, Kansas City's offense is going to go crazy, even though the Broncos do have a very strong defense. And I think that the Broncos will be able to put up some points. It's a divisional matchup, but the Chiefs should be able to win this game. And I can even see it being a 3 or 4 score win, depending on how the Broncos offense shows up and how their defense shows up. As for the Cowboys-Eagles game, I have the Cowboys winning. The Eagles have a guaranteed playoff spot at this point in the season, but I still think they're going to play the Cowboys very strongly, even if they do lose. So the Eagles, even if they lose, they have tiebreakers over the 49ers and the Saints. So they are guaranteed to make the playoffs. That being said, the Eagles' offense has been going crazy lately, and the Cowboys' offense has been very strong the entirety of the season. And although their defense is very strong recently, the Eagles have been playing really good football. So I think that it's going to be a close game, tight game. Last week, I thought that the Chiefs-Bengals game would be the highest scoring game of the week. It's pretty good. This week, I think this will be the highest scoring game. For the 1 o'clock games, I have Washington versus the Giants, 17-9. I have Bengals-Browns, 41-21. I have Titans versus Texans, 38-27. I have Ravens versus Steelers, 24-23. Packers versus Lions, 34-20. Vikings-Bears, 23-21. And Colts-Jaguars, 31-13. A lot of either really close games or really bad blowouts this week. Washington versus the Giants. The Giants have been the worst team in the league for a decent amount of the season. The Jaguars are the only team that even have an argument against them. And they've scored, I believe, less than 50 points over the course of the last 5 or 6 weeks. I think that Washington's defense is strong enough to hold them below 10 again. And although their offense has been inconsistent, I think that they'll do enough to win. For the Bengals and the Browns, the Bengals offense is on fire. Joe Burrow has over almost 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks, and a pass rating of over 145. And I think that the Browns defense is not strong enough to break that streak. I think Joe Burrow will have over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns this week, and they'll have a very strong win over the Browns. The Ravens versus the Steelers, I have the Ravens winning 24-23. Destroying any hopes that the Steelers have of making the playoffs. And I think that the Ravens' chances are also very slim, even if they do win, because they have very poor tiebreakers. They have lost 5 games in a row, 4 of those being by 2 points or less, 3 of them being by 1 point or less. And I think that they'll win this one by 1. The Ravens and the Steelers have both had very interesting seasons. The Ravens started off very strongly. The Steelers didn't also started off okay. They started off with a win, and then they fell off, and then they came back. They've both been very up and down this season, but the Ravens have been mostly down recently. I don't think that they'll lose 6 in a row, even though Lamar Jackson still isn't playing. Their offense has shown that they've been very strong for even without Lamar, but they just haven't been able to put it together to win the game. And I think that this week they might be able to do that because I don't see them losing 6 in a row. I have the Titans beating the Texans 30-27. The Texans' offense has been playing strongly recently, but the Titans' defense is still very strong. And I think that Tennessee is going to prove that they belong in the playoffs, that they belong in the number 1 seed this week with their offensive performance. I believe Derrick Henry is coming back. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that. But if he does, then 38 is definitely a very likely score for the Titans. As for the Texans, I think that they're definitely going to lose. I don't know exactly how much their offense will show up, but I think that they could definitely put up a few points. Packers-Lions, there's not much to be said there. I think that 20 is generous for the Lions score. Colts-Jaguars, I have the Colts winning 31-13. Not much to be said there. Vikings Bears. I have the Vikings winning 23-21. The Bears have been looking very strong recently. The Vikings are on a losing streak, but I think that the Vikings will be able to finish this season off with a win. Next, we have the 4 o'clock games. We have Bucks, Panthers, Dolphins, Patriots, Bills, Jets, Saints, Falcons, and Cardinals, Seahawks. I have the Buccaneers beating the Panthers. That's not the score. That's the score. 28-17. They beat them pretty handily last time, and I think the Panthers will have some sort of fight in them. It is a divisional game. It is the last game of the season. I think that it could be a somewhat decently close game, and Tampa didn't look very strong the last few weeks. They looked strong against the Panthers, granted, but they didn't look strong last week against the Jets, and didn't look strong 2 weeks ago against the Saints when they lost. I have the Patriots beating the Dolphins 27-20. This one I had a hard time with because the Patriots and the Dolphins have split for the last 10 seasons in a row. So this will be the first time in 10 years that the Patriots and Dolphins don't split games if they do lose. But in that time period, the Patriots are 2-6 in Miami. The last 8 or 9 years, something like that. So although we have a very bad record in Miami, I think that we'll be able to win this one because we usually split with them. If we lose at home, then we win in Miami. So, Bills-Jets have the Bills winning 31-23. The Jets showed some fight last week. I think they'll show some fight again this week. But in the end, the Bills should win. I have the Saints beating the Falcons 20-17. Last week, I was 1 point off. I said that they would win 17-10 over the Panthers. They won 18-10. I think that this week will be a pretty similar story. Divisional matchup. Neither offense is great. Neither defense is great. Low scoring. Decent game. And then Cardinals-Seahawks have the Cardinals winning 34-31. Arizona's going to want to try and get that divisional title. And with the Rams playing the Niners, another divisional game between two strong teams, they're going to really need this win. And if they do win this game and the Rams lose, then they do get the division. So it's a very important game for Arizona. And I think that the Seahawks are going to score a lot of points based off of last week's performance. I think that Russell Wilson is trying to prove that he's not done, which nobody thinks that he is. He had some injuries this season. They had a weird year. But I think he's going to want to try and prove something this week. And I think that the Cardinals are going to win in a pretty decently high-scoring game. This is the highlight game of the 4:25 games. It's Rams versus Niners. I did this on a different slide because we don't have a Monday Night Football game. So I was like, I'll highlight a 4:25 game. This is the most important game in the NFC this week because it's the only game that can have an impact on the playoffs. If the Saints win, then sure, the Saints win. But they can't make the playoffs unless the Niners lose. And this is the game to watch because not only does it decide whether the Niners make the playoffs, it also decides what seed the Eagles are, what seed the Rams are, what seed the Cardinals are, what seed the Saints are. There's 5 teams that this game impacts. And so this is a really big game. I have the Rams winning 37-31. The Rams have been very consistent recently. They had a 3-game losing streak, including a loss to the Niners earlier in the season. But I think that they're going to continue to play very consistently. Odell is going to continue to be a factor on the team. Cooper Kupp is going to continue to be an MVP player. And I think that this team is going to be able to beat the Niners. That being said, the Niners would be knocked out of the playoffs in this scenario, and the Saints would gain their spot. Because I do have the Saints winning. I think that the Niners do have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Saints do, because I think that the chance of both of those things happening is lower than just one of them happening. But I think it'll be a good game. I think that the Niners will show some fight, but I think ultimately the Rams will win. And of course, for the Sunday night football game, we have Chargers-Raiders. Have the Chargers beating the Raiders 24-23. I almost put this game as a tie, because if somehow the Colts lose and this game is tied, then both of these teams make the playoffs. But I don't think the Colts will lose. I do think it'll be funny, though, if the Colts win and then these two teams tie, and then it goes to tiebreakers to see which one of them makes the playoffs. The Chargers have been much more consistent this season. They've been good. They've been above average for the entirety of the season. I don't know if they've been below 500 at all this year. The Raiders, on the other hand, have been very inconsistent. They'll win a lot of weird games and lose a lot of weird games. I think because of the slightly higher consistency of the Chargers. Granted, none of the teams in the AFC West have had any consistency this year. I think that the Chargers should be able to win the game. I think it'll be a very close game, hard fought, because if you win, you're in this game. Quite literally, whoever wins is in. And I think that Derek Carr will show some spunk, but I think that the Chargers ultimately will win the game. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to comment your thoughts and your predictions down below. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.